the Greening of Detroit, and we are pleased to be joined now by the president of that organization. Lionel Bradford joins us now on the Oakland County Megacast. Lionel, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me today.
Appreciate having you on. For those unfamiliar, what is the Greening of Detroit? What does it do in normal times, and what is it doing now?
The Greening of Detroit is a local nonprofit here in Detroit. We've been around since 1989, so we've been around for 31 years now. Our mission actually is to promote a sustainable, healthy urban community through trees and green spaces, healthy living, food, education, and job training opportunities. And so we were initially started as a tree planting organization in 1989. The goal was to reforest the city after Detroit had lost over 500,000 trees from disease, urbanization, neglect, you name it. And so we started the organization. The organization was started actually to combat that. And since then, we planted over 130,000 trees throughout the city of Detroit. And then we branched off into so much more, and not just tree planting, but we're also there's an education component into everything that we do. All of our work has social, economic impact, not just environmental. And now we've also have community engagement, which is the thread that kind of ties everything together. In 2010, we got into workforce development, where we were looking to train Detroiters who have barriers to employment. And since then, that program, we've trained close to 800 Detroiters who have barriers to employment with an 84% job placement rate. Currently, we have a youth employment program that's running. That we're in the last week of it. We're in conjunction with the mayor of Detroit, Grow Detroit's Young Talent, a program, and that's a summer youth a job program here in Detroit. So we're working in conjunction with that. But our program is called Green Corps, and that program we have about 50 youth in there this summer that's working. And
It appears we have lost Lionel's microphone. We'll just stand by right here for a minute. It looks like you're muted and unmuted. Let's see if we can get him back, his volume back in just a moment. And we'll stick right here. We're talking with Lionel Bradford. He is the president of the Greening of Detroit. Looks like we have your microphone back, Lionel. If you would continue, go ahead.
yeah, and I'm sorry about that, and I don't know where I left off for you guys, but the organization right now, we're running our youth employment program. It's a summer youth employment program where we employ youth 14 to 18. And these folks generally would go out and provide maintenance to our plantings that we've done throughout the year. However, with COVID upon us, we have had to pivot quite a bit with all of our programming. And so we're running a virtual program this year for the first time for our youth. And that's we're in the last week of that program. It's a 5-week program, but the program has gone quite well. I think the youth really got a lot out of it. I've sat in on quite a few sessions. I see the enthusiasm that the kids have, but again, it's quite different from what we're used to doing. On our tree planting efforts, through our tree planting efforts, we've had to pivot as well. Normally, we are planting in the spring and fall, and most of our plantings are community plantings where we're using volunteers to help get trees in the ground. And we have not been able to do that because of COVID, of course. And so we were deemed essential. So we were able to come back into operations in on May 15th this year, where we've basically been using staff to put all of the trees in the ground that we planted. And so we are social distancing. We're wearing masks, and we're just really trying to cope and restructure our programming best we could to accomplish our goals and make sure that we are safeguarding our staff.
Lionel, can you talk a little bit about the importance of the tree plantings and how it helps to remove some of the contaminants in the soil? And on top of that, are you having problems getting some of the products, some of the trees that you need?
Well, yes. I mean, I think that, we've been planting trees, as I stated, for 31 years now. We planted over 130,000 trees throughout the city of Detroit. We're really working in conjunction with the city and many others that are looking to increase the tree canopy throughout the city. But trees, as you know, play an important role in urban environments in terms of soil erosion, removing contaminants from soil, which is called dendro remediation, where we use trees to actually pull those contaminants out. Um, but not only the that we see here in Detroit, we have pockets of Detroit that are heavily flooded, and
Looks like we have lost Lionel Bradford's video now. We apologize for that. We've lost connection with him. We thank Lionel Bradford for joining us today. We are going to take a quick break. We'll come back and see if we can get him back, and if not, we'll continue on. You're watching and listening to the Oakland County Megacast on a family of TV and radio stations. Nope, we have Lionel back. We'll continue on with him. So, Lionel, as you continue forward with your projects in the city of Detroit with your organization, especially in times that we're in right now, have you seen there's been a greater interest that's been put forth for gardening and for engaging in nature and beautifying the city of Detroit with your projects with the greening of Detroit during the time of the pandemic?
yes, and unfortunately, I lost you for a minute there, so I didn't get the first part of the question. Would you mind repeating that?
Yes, as the pandemic has continued forward, and we've seen a lot of people that have engaged more in gardening and been out in nature more often, whether it be for recreation or for certain hobbies. Have you seen the interest growing in joining your operation and doing what you do at the Greening of Detroit, making these plantings that you've done for 30 plus years and beautifying the city and helping regrow in many ways the city of Detroit?
Absolutely. We've seen quite an increase, and that's due to folks having to be home in terms of when the stay at home order was on. A lot of folks look to getting out into their backyards and growing gardens, planting trees in their yard, just something to get them outside in the outdoors, into the out environment. And so we've seen that. I will say, in terms of how we operate our community plantings programs, we've seen a decrease in terms of volunteers. And that's only because we cannot get together in large numbers. However, we do know that since May, when we started, into now, we've seen more people get involved in what we're doing. And it's going to take a while. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, we're living in some unprecedented times, and we want to make sure that we safeguard our volunteers that we work with, as well as our staff. And so it's going to take a little time, but we've seen both an increase in terms of when the stay-at-home order was in effect, and then a decrease in terms of the number of volunteers we work with.
Lionel Bradford with us, the president of Greening of Detroit. Lionel, just another minute or so with you before we got to let you go. Anything else you'd like to touch on today, or any other important information that people should know about your organization?
Well, I think it's important that live in some unprecedented times, and I think getting out into nature and the outdoors is key. We promote that. We promote our tree planting efforts. If you can volunteer with us, we are taking safe measures in terms of making sure that everyone that comes out and volunteers with us will have protection, personal protection equipment, as well as sanitation stations. So we're doing all that we can to safeguard, but we do know that it's important to continue with our mission. As many trees as we can get into the ground, as many people we can train, as many kids as we can train and turn into our next generation of environmental stewards. We want to do that. And that's what the organization is about. All of our programming has not just the environmental components, but also the social and the economic impact tied to it. And so we are here. We're here for the community. We serve the community. And we want to do our part in terms of continuing to make the environment we live in safe for all.
Well, Lionel, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate having you on. Lionel Bradford, he is the president of the Greening of Detroit, with us on the Oakland County MegaCast.